Hello everybody and welcome to Minecraft. Today I have a very weird idea. I want to build the intro for the video. You all already know what it's going to look like, but it should be fun to see how I build things. I think the best place to start will be with the tree. I've already marked out the area for the viewing spot, so everything behind it just isn't visible from the viewing point right here. So, and I've laid out a few markers for where I want things to go. So, I generally like to build my trees kind of like this, starting from the ground up and then branching out. So, just building up the trunk first, and then once that's looking good, then start doing all the extra flavor stuff. And now that we have the trunk all finished, now we can actually start doing the branches. I generally kind of fall into a 3-prong style, something a little bit like this, and then start branching out from there. So something kind of like this, but this doesn't look super good right now. And that's because we haven't added in any of the extra blocks and stuff, such as these fence posts, which can help add some more branchness to it, adding in a few stairs just to have some more connection points. You can even throw in a few slabs here and there, just so that there isn't too many stairs, because that can look a little weird sometimes. Throw in a few trapdoors. That way it'll have a bit more smoothness to it. Then add a few fence gates where there should be some more branches and stuff. And that's a pretty good and completed tree structure. But there's no leaves on it, which doesn't look super great. So we can start throwing in some leaves on it. So I generally just try to cover up most of the branches first, and then come back a little bit later and remove some of the leaves and stuff so that it'll look more tree-like and less green blob. Now that we have our really terrible looking tree, I can start adding and removing some more leaves to add in some more just variation and make it look fluffier and more leaf-like. Just kind of placing blocks around randomly, seeing what looks good, and removing what doesn't. And then that's kind of a weird staircase looking thing. It's good. The top is a little flat, so we can kind of do something a little bit like this to make the top not look so flat. Add in a few floating bits of leaves here and there. And none of this backside of the tree will ever be seen, only the front side really. But I'd like to go the extra step and just texture all that. And then make sure that the bottom is not flat, because it looks very weird when all the leaves go to a certain height. And now the tree is finished. So now that we have the tree finished, I would like to start doing the yeah, I think we'll start with the rock wall first. I generally like to use just basic colors first to get the kind of idea, and then later come back with other blocks and stuff to really add some texture and variety. And all that I'm doing is just kind of varying the heights of things and building it outwards. And it's already kind of starting to take shape, but it doesn't look super duper great right now. And that's because I haven't started adding in any kind of block variation. Because currently it's only stone blocks, there's not even any depth or anything. So now we can start adding in some stairs to actually start gaining some depth. And in addition to stairs, I also generally like to use andesite walls, and I wish that there were stone walls, but there is not. So this is the best we have. Just kind of toss these in around every once in a while, just to add in some extra depth. That's already looking way better. But we can make it look even better than that by adding in some lighting to it. And generally for that, I generally like andesite or a lighter stone color, which we can just start replacing our stone blocks with to see where we want it to be lighter and darker at. And something around about like this, and then just see where the stairs overlap that don't make sense for them to be stone stairs. And now we have the top all as a lighter stone color. And for a darker stone color, I like the tough blocks, which I haven't really gotten to use that much because I've been stuck in 1.20 for a long time. So this is one of my first times actually using tough stairs and walls, and they are so nice for this kind of stuff. They feel so much better than using dark blocks for this. Then we can start just going back through, and that's andesite still, and just rechange a few of these things around to their tough counterparts. And something around about like that. Actually, I would like to change that one. There we go. And that looks way better. And we can stand from the viewing platform, and this is already looking super good. So now, I would like to add in the top to this. Well, first, we have to add in dirt. Doesn't just go from stone to grass immediately. That wouldn't make much sense. But having it just be this sheer cutoff of going straight from stone to dirt doesn't look very good at all. So instead, we can use things like fences and stairs, a few slabs, and mud brick walls and packed mud to start adding. Oh, so I do need dirt back. And then just start adding in some variation into the terrain so that it feels more natural. And then just throw a few of these around, and this will massively help to make things not look as smooth and just weird transition between the stone and dirt. Then we can start adding in some packed mud so that this will have a little bit of variation to it, and then add in some coarse dirt as well, just to mix things up even more. And now that's looking really good, but we still don't have a grass top to this. Usually I would leave the grass layer kind of hollow as I go up, but I feel like it'll probably be better to just make a whole layer like this. And just want to get a kind of round-ish kind of shape, but you don't want it to be super round because it doesn't look entirely real when it gets too round. And there we go. So none of that's visible from down here, but that doesn't matter because it's just kind of getting the rough idea for how things feel. So now I want to throw in a cherry blossom tree. And it's pretty much the exact same thing as with the regular tree that I had, but there is a few things that I do kind of change. And then just build it up like this. And now that we have all of that finished, add a little bit of extra variation there. Now we can actually start doing the branches finally. So this is going to have to be smaller due to the cliffside there, but I still would like to branch it out still. And then we can add in some more trapdoors and stuff, add in some slabs to make things look a little smoother. So now we can just start adding in the cherry blossom leaves, and it's the same as with the other tree. And just keep adding in leaves until the whole thing is kind of just filled in. Make sure you don't make it too super blobby, but that's fine if you do, because we can just edit it later and just clean up this a little bit more. And we have our cherry blossom tree now finished. this is kind of the final major part of the build, but there is still some other stuff to do, is I want to add in a little pond. So can start getting a roughly round shape here, and then just cut this area out. I can start actually building the kind of bowl shape for this. So just make sure that it kind of has like a bowl shape, but not super even. So there we go. And then just keep kind of going. Just make it a little bit lower until eventually it's all filled in. And just round out that part. And there we go. I generally like to add in some lily pads to the water, make sure that they're offset from each other. And there isn't really a lily pad with a lotus flower on it, but we can use a warped trapdoor and the pink coral fan to recreate a kind of lotus. You can also use the new cactus flower, this thing, but I don't like its desaturated colors for this use, and it doesn't fully cover the trapdoor, so I usually use the coral fan. And we can add in some seagrass, just roundabout like this, just randomly throwing stuff around in here. Don't really think about it too much, just make sure that things aren't super lined up. And then add in a few sea pickles. You don't really need to do this. I just like to do this so that when it's nighttime, it'll look more special. And if you're really feeling like there just needs to be more stuff going on, you can also add in some more animated blocks like kelp into the mix, just to add some more movement, and add in some drip leaf around the area to make it more colorful and also have more just plants. And this is pretty much our pond finished, but I would like to add in a few of these packed mud brick stairs and slabs just to round out the area a little bit more. And the pond is now finished, so now I can add in, that should flow nicely, a waterfall. Doesn't have to be super fancy or anything, just kind of dig things back until they feel good. Add in a little bit of a curve here, and just make it come from nothing. And now we can add in the water. Now we've got some water going from a waterfall. Nice fun waterfall there. We can add in some tropical fish as well, just random ones really, just to add some more color and movement to our pond. You can really just pick whatever fish you want, weed out which ones you don't. A good method that I found for if you want to keep a fish is to make a pond of a bunch of them, and then just take the ones in a bucket, roundabout like that, and then you can always have that same fish. And if you don't want to fish anymore, then you can just do that. If you want to just get rid of all the fish in your pond, then a harming ball will be a good choice for getting rid of all the fish. So that's all the fish added now. They look very nice in there. I don't know why they go towards the bottom more. That's kind of just an unavoidable thing though. There's not really much you can do about that. So now we can start shaping the terrain a little bit so that it'll not just cut off at a random point, and then just make sure that everything is outside of the camera's viewpoint, because again, we don't want the camera to be able to see any of this stuff, and do the exact same thing right over here. And again, all that I'm doing is just kind of making it round-ish, but not super round, and just making sure that there's no sharp corners. And now, from the camera's point of view, we have a rounder field so it doesn't just look like it gets cut off. And then next, we can start adding in some foliage. So I generally use the short grass and ferns, but the new bushes are also really nice for this. Just kind of throw these around the place. Again, just like the seagrass, not really thinking about where they're going or anything, just make sure that they're not super unnatural looking, and something around about like that. And as for the armor stand, that's where I'm going to be standing once I finish all of this. The next thing that I like to do is start adding in some sugarcane and bamboo to the area, because it helps add in some more texture and stuff. And we can use string to make sure that it doesn't grow beyond the point that we want. And then just do the same thing for the bamboo. And just kind of bone meal it up to wherever you want. I'd say around there looks pretty good. Add some more back here. Again, just bone meal it to wherever you want. And then now we can start adding in a few rocks and stuff around the place. I don't think there really needs to be more than this, but for an actual build that will be seen from all angles and stuff, you can add in way more rocks than this. And then just take some stone buttons and just throw them around about like this. I think over here would also be good, just to break up this corner a little bit more and just make it a little bit of a smaller rock. And something that I usually like to do with my rocks is add in some player heads to look like stones, but I don't really have access to that right now, so we'll just have to do without that. And I think we're almost finished with everything. I would also like to add in a cat. And for getting cats, I generally just make kind of a box, something around about like this, and just keep spawning them in until we get the ones that we want. You can also use commands. I don't know the commands, so this is the best method for me. And now we have our cat. And I would like to change the color of it. There we go. Yeah, that's fitting. And then just get an anvil out and name tag this to something more appropriate. And now we have our name tag, and now we can name tag it to Boxmeow. I mean, if you expected something else, I don't know why. And then just push it into position. That looks nice. And I think the final step, other than something you can do for most builds, is use moss and moss carpets to make it look more terrained and stuff. That doesn't look very good here, because I'm technically in a jungle biome in this ocean. So the saturated green doesn't look super great with that. So this is pretty much done, except for one final thing. And after some fiddling around, we now have the time of day set. And with that, I think that's going to be the end of today's episode, so I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!